Hi, my name's Lee Jasper. This is Brixton, South London, and you're watching Lee Jasper Drive Time.
Our people in the spotlight, because the time's right. Black lives matter, pump your fist for the good fight. Good people take a stand, building bridges in this land. We chop it up and compensate reasons, this is drive time. We chop it up and compensate reasons, this is drive time.
Hi, my name's Lee Jasper, former senior political advisor to the Mayor Ken Livingstone, and as many of you know, an inveterate campaigner for justice and civil rights. Today we're going to talk to a very special guest. That is Dr. Valentine Udoye, Nigerian doctor who began his GP training here in the United Kingdom in 2010. We're going to explore exactly what happened to him and the horrors that he's had to face after being unfairly targeted by others who sought to undermine his professional practice. Now, obviously, the detail related to this case is going to be extensive and not something that's going to lend itself to explanation in this video. So what we will do is leave a link in the description below that will take you to the website that will give you much more detail in terms of exactly what happened to him. But do stay tuned, because it's going to be a powerful interview speaking centrally to his experience of seeking to become a GP in Great Britain. And Lord knows, we are so short of GPs, one would have thought that international foreign GPs who are coming to the UK would be warmly welcome. Stay tuned to find out if that is the case. So, Dr. Udoye,
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you very much, and thank you for having me here with you.
I'm delighted to have you here. Sorry it's not under better circumstances, but nevertheless, let's hope we can shine a light and encourage people to give you the kind of support that you need to get some justice. Now, tell me a little bit about you. You are, where you from, and what's your family background?
All right. My name is Dr. Azubike Valentine Udoye. I was born in a town of Enugu in the southeastern part of Nigeria. While growing up in Nigeria, I've seen and witnessed a lot of poverty and people with a lot of different health challenges, and those people are not able to afford, their health care. And also, my brothers, two of my brothers were aspiring to become doctors. They are doctors now, and most of my friends were also aspiring to become doctors. With all these things, this inspired me to want to become a doctor and to equally help me to make a change in people's life.
So, very noble aspirations for you, and you were successful in doing that in the end. But tell us a little bit about your parents. How did they influence your life in wanting to aspire to become a medical professional?
All right. I was born in a family of civil servants. I grew up, I have three brothers. My mom was a teacher and my dad worked with the government. While I was growing up, my mom, made me to understand that for you to be successful in life, that you have to really work hard. And from my dad, my dad instilled quite a lot of wisdom, through me and all of us, and I think for me, these were my main motivators, coupled with, the environment we were living in, and them inspired me, motivated me, to kind of be able to pursue my career to become a doctor.
Well, whatever they did, you should patent it, because producing a family with 4 doctors in one family is quite a remarkable achievement. So well done to them. Now, and why did you leave Nigeria to come to the United Kingdom?
Apparently, I finished working as a doctor and I was working in Nigeria. I had a very unfortunate and sad incident, while I was traveling, and my boss, was a big coach, but like a coach, was attacked by a group of bandits, I guess maybe about 13 numbers, and I came out unhurt. I mean, about 8 or 9 people died in this accident, and all the women that were in the bus were all raped.
Oh, gosh.
And I saw this is not something I'm saying. I saw and I witnessed this, and that was the day I felt that's the most horrific day of my life. And I never knew I'm going to make it alive, but I said to myself is that I'm going to make this alive because I still have a young family. My daughter was just barely maybe a year. My wife was pregnant then, and I felt that if I'm going to make this alive, that I'm going to move my family to somewhere safe, that I'm not going to kind of do this.
So having had that profoundly traumatic experience, you came to the UK to make your way in the world and hopefully see your family grow, develop and settle down.
Yeah, I mean, I have to ask ways, write exams, manage to get here, and it wasn't easy, but at the end of the day, I managed to bring them along with me, and by then, I had 2 kids, 2 daughters then. I wasn't there when they gave birth to my second one, though, but, we moved on, and, I was happy that finally I felt safe.
And you were a doctor, were you specialising in anything?
No, I was trying to, I began to walk up to the ladder to specialize. I was trying to walk up, but my dream before coming in, because I was working as a general practitioner right back home in Nigeria, my dream was to
do the
same here, maybe get a qualification there.
And we've got great, massive, in fact, vacancies for GPs at the moment. The country's desperately short of GPs. So you began your GP training experience in 2010.
Yes.
And it didn't go really as you planned. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, in 2010 I started my training in general practice. I was enrolled in Scotland. Back then in 2010, there was a requirement for international doctors that if you're going to be doing a training, if you're returning from one hospital to the other
in the UK,
that you need to be changing your visa as well. And for a young GP trainee with a family,
and that's because you were moving from Scotland, thinking moving to England. Is that right?
I settled in Scotland to be able to do the training because it was a 4-year training.
Right.
So I was there, but it became a bit difficult financially for me to be paying this huge amount of money. So
around visa fees.
I've been visa fees because I need to pay it 4 times.
Yeah, for you, your children, the wife,
for me to be able to complete my training. And I decided then, based on advice, to switch over to something that can allow me not to do that.
And so, what happened next?
So what happened was I managed to get the visa to allow me to run through, but unfortunately, I found out there was a restriction on that visa saying that it was not meant for doctors to train.
Right, so it didn't apply to you.
Yeah, that I can work but not to train.
Right.
So I can work in all the hospitals I want, but I'm not allowed to train.
So had you already been qualified, that visa would have allowed you to work as a GP.
Yes.
But not as a training.
Not as a training.
I got you.
So, which means they were saying that if I want to continue, I need to go back to that rotation.
Yeah.
But I looked at it, I said, no, I think I have to stop because I felt it wasn't financially viable for me to be able to be paying that.
Sensible.
So that is what happened.
Okay, and from there, what you came to the UK, England?
Yeah, from there I was still in Scotland, from there, but because of my desire and my dream to become a GP, I looked at other alternative ways. One could be a GP if this is not working, and I found out from the website of the Royal College of the GPs that these exams, we're doing over here, and this trainings they run it in other different countries, including Dubai. So I contacted Dubai, and they invited me for an interview, and I went there to show them my experience, and they were happy, and said that I don't need further experience, that I need to write my exit exams to become a certified GP.
Right. So you were hopeful at this stage. You'd gone to Dubai. qualified. I believe you were one of the first doctors to qualify in one sitting for your.
Yes, what happened was I went to Dubai normally because it's a very difficult, tough exam.
Right,
You know,
I can
and you know, people want to take one. It's 3 exams. You take one at a time. Come back 6 months,
Yeah.
do the other one. Come back 6 months, and if you really want to really
Yeah.
be serious. So for me, I decided to do the 3 of them in one sitting, and some people were like, "Why? You know, why waste money?" That you know, I said no because I really want to get this done. So I read quite a lot. I prepared strongly for it. Flew to Dubai 3 times. You know, attending a lot of courses, and I went in 2016. I passed all of them in one sitting, and they phoned me and they told me that I was the first doctor that done these 3 exams in one sitting, and
Wow.
came out of it.
Wow.
And I got a call from London, Royal College in London, congratulating me that I've passed the exams, and they sent me my certificate.
Right.
Yeah,
Excellent.
right. Thank you.
So you're not only an exemplary student and a trainee, but now you're making greater progress towards your ambition to be
Yeah.
a GP. So
Yeah.
tell us more. What then happens?
So, after the exam, that means that I'm now a certified, fully certified, qualified GP
Yeah.
internationally. The London Royal College in London invited me for graduation.
Yeah.
So I joined the 2016 UK graduates
Right.
that are graduating at the same time, and we went for the graduation together. That was, I would call it more like an induction, you know, like you're not a fully qualified member of the GP.
Yeah.
So after that, that was when all this saga started, because I'm now asking myself, okay, I've achieved this, so how do I move forward?
Yes.
In terms of if I want to work as a GP in the UK? I contacted the college. The college told me that having qualified abroad doesn't automatically qualify me to start work here,
Yeah.
because I don't have any UK experience.
Right.
So I started making an inquiry, and I was, that led me to the postgraduate clinical lead for
Yeah.
general practice up in Newcastle, where I told him exactly what I had, and he was so happy. And he now mentioned to me about there is this postgraduate scheme. Since I'm not really a junior
Yeah.
doctor now, there's a postgraduate scheme I need to do that will help me to be able to work as a GP. He invited me for a meeting. He was so excited. He said, "Wow, I can't believe that you live in Cumbria, that we're having shortage of doctors, that you're really going to do his own way, that you're really going to do a very big service."
So he's very happy.
Yes,
And
exactly.
you were very happy.
Yes, I was going to do a very
Right.
big service to Cumbria, because we've been struggling to fill in doctors over there. And, it made me feel like something, And he said, "Look, it's still complicated though. There's a lot of things that has to go through, exams, filling and filing of papers.
Procedures.
But don't worry,
Yeah.
I'm going to guide you.
Wonderful.
I'm going to make sure that you won't have any problem down the way. If you have anything, always send me an email. I'll call you and we'll talk you through."
Sounds very helpful. So you're making further progress down this road.
Yeah.
And this is where the problems begin. Is it not?
Yes, that's the way it kind of began here, because I've never done this before. I've never heard about this program before. And I complained immediately, like, "Look, this is too complicated." He said, "Don't worry." I kept asking questions along the line. There were a lot of people involved. I think there were kind of 3 bodies.
Yeah.
They're asking you, "Bring this, bring that, check this, check that," And I kept doing this, and I kept taking my exams. And I've passed my 2 exams. The last exam is what they call simulated surgery, which is similar to like what they do like a CSA, because I did it in the Royal College of London office here in London. And I remember coming down there, I met people from Portugal, Switzerland, and some of them were kind of anxious. And they were telling me, "Oh my God, this is my last attempt," because you have 4 chances to pass that exam.
Wow.
So they're telling me, "This is my last attempt." Do you want to say, "Oh, I'm on my 3rd attempt, I've not passed this exam"?
Right.
And I went and I passed it in one sitting.
Wow.
I didn't do it twice.
Wow.
So they came back, congratulated me again.
Yes, absolutely.
Telling me, "Oh, wow, you're
An exceptional
you're
student.
exceptional student." So that's what it is. So the only part remaining then was a lot of documentation,
Right.
and also to start my placement, to be able to, supervise me, to be able to get me up to speed, and I can be able to work as a GP in the UK.
It's pretty important, because now this is the critical bit.
Yeah.
And as far as I understand it, I'm going to summarize it for the audience, because it's pretty complex.
Yeah.
But what happened next is, in order to move to the next stage, you had to fill in some forms
Yes.
and make some declarations.
Yeah.
And on one of these forms, you made an error,
Yeah.
which you admitted to. It was an error. You've subsequently admitted to that.
Yeah.
And in other parts of that form, you can see it's an error because you've answered other questions correctly and there's only one question that stands out
Yeah.
as erroneous,
Yeah.
and that's whether or not you are fully registered GP.
Yeah.
And that's the one, because you had your international qualifications already, that was ticked. But actually, in all other regards, the form is absolutely fine, and you're clearly being seen to operate in a honest and very clear and ethical way.
Yeah.
And because of this single mistake, which you admitted to, you made an error, and can I say that the people who was responsible for the criteria for assessing people's suitability for the course, very senior people,
Yes.
they also were confused
Yeah.
about the form,
Yes.
as was evidenced
Yes.
in your subsequent employment tribunal.
Yes.
So you found yourself facing what as a consequence, making a simple error?
I don't even know where to start, because after I finished that exams, I did the form when I had a meeting with him, and he told me, oh, this meeting is not an interview, that I've enrolled you to run the itinerary, and he started asking all these things. And this
So this was about a placement for you?
No, the whole scheme.
The whole scheme.
The beginning of the scheme. So when I went to meeting the first time, we had a meeting, and after the meeting, he was telling me that I'm going to be a good service, and he was like, oh, that just to let you know, this meeting is not an interview, and you've already passed the interview, and I'm happy to admit you into the scheme. That's when he started telling me all
That's
this.
your supervisory
My
doctor.
supervisor, the clinical lead. So, I started filling all these forms, and I kept asking questions, and they kept guiding me all through. A lot of people were involved. So I don't want to be technical about it.
No. But just let me say, he doesn't have to be technical, but I can tell you, because I've read the emails and I've seen them, where he's constantly asking for clarification about the process and not getting an adequate response, and sometimes not getting a response at all. But do continue.
Yeah. So after the whole thing, when I passed the exam, and the last one in London, I went for a holiday, and while I was in America, I opened my email and I saw this barrage of email. They were asking me, they've been calling my number, where have you been? That, we've got a placement for you, that the regional training director has accepted to train you. And I was like, oh my God, I need to cut my holiday short. I see I'm causing a bit of a problem. So I now dashed down back to UK, to make the phone call, which I had with...
You're excited by this news?
Of course. I mean,
because this news, just for our viewers, our news means that you then get to do a placement in a GP, and at the end of that, you would be a fully qualified.
Exactly.
So it's very important.
Exactly. So I came back, I met him, he asked me a lot of questions. We were able to map out my need for me to be able to qualify. So he sent that to the regional training director, so they have a prescription, if I can use that, of what I need to achieve.
This is what Dr. Udoye needs to do in order to get to the standard.
Yes, exactly. So it was quite intense. Lot of assessment, lot of lectures, lot of presentations, lot of audits, lot of reflections,
Easy for a first class student like you.
Yes. I mean, for me, I'm happy because at least, because I've had some years of experience. I mean, in one of the report they wrote on my final placement about a patient that had something in the leg that was missed by everybody. I was the one that found it out, and I said no, something, and this has been happening for about 7 months, and I found it out, and I kind of went back to look at the report, the radiology report, and it was reported there was a glass there. So I phoned the A&E and I arranged for it to be taken out, and my supervisor commended me for that. This was missed, and they were treating different things. So what I'm trying to say that I was dedicated to learn this. I applied everything to learn this, and when I finished my end of my placement, I had a structured report and everything came out very, very successful.
So exceptional monitoring and assessment reports, not a blemish on your career thus far. You're almost there, 90% of the way there to become a qualified GP. You've passed all the exams, been commended. You filled in a form, you've made a mistake.
What happened was I finished the training, I finished the scheme, I was signed out. It was, I think, on my last day, just to kind of get some formality. Then I was getting emails from, from surgeries trying to inquire, oh, congratulations, you are now successful, that we are going to employ you, the terms were coming in, and which was nice, you know, and that was where the problem started. I came on that last day, and they called me and said that we got a call that they said you should stand down and don't touch any other patient.
Right.
You know, that everything has been reassigned.
That's quite serious.
Yes, I thought I did something horrible or killed somebody. You know, my mind was flipping all over.
So at that stage, you hadn't got any detail. You
Yeah,
just
I didn't know what.
Stand down.
Yeah, just stand down.
Yeah.
Don't touch. That's a call that said you should stand down. So after my
That must be stressful.
they gave me a cup of tea. I couldn't drink it. Because I don't know what it is. So
Yeah.
after he came to me, he said that he said to me that there was a problem, that they said that it seems I wasn't even meant to be on the scheme in the first place.
Right.
But he's even confused, but he doesn't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, that he's already been signed off. This is just the formality coming to work. And he gave me a number. I called the lady. The lady said that he's not too sure what was happening, but that I wasn't meant to be on the scheme, that I shouldn't see any more patients. That they're going to look into it and then try to find out what
the root cause is.
yeah. And, you know, fair enough, I took it by faith. I called my clinical lead. He said, okay, but stay there, don't go. So I was there for about 3 to 4 weeks, almost more than 3 weeks, coming to the surgery, doing nothing, and they were paying me.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, doing nothing. And the practitioner asked, okay, can we use the this is doing? Can he be teaching the junior ones?
Yeah.
They said, no, let him just stay there, do nothing. And after a while, I spoke to a colleague of mine who said, look, this doesn't look right. Just stop, okay? Tell them you're no longer coming. I stopped. And the next thing I knew was a letter came to my house and told me that I was under investigation.
By
The GMC, that are coming from
General Medical
the
Council.
General Medical Council are investigating me.
Now, this is the body that this can strike doctors off, so it's very serious.
Every doctor here is registered with General Medical Council. We pay annual fees every year to the General Medical Council. And before I knew what was going on, I was told that I was under investigation.
Wow.
I was thinking that maybe there was something we can rectify so we can move on, but that's where we are.
You thought it was something simple that could, you know,
maybe
clarify.
I just realized that.
But actually, they accused you of fraud and dishonesty, didn't they?
Well, the first thing they accused me was that they said that I wasn't meant to be in that scheme in the first place, so I was working above my competence,
Right.
and that they need to put a restriction on me for protection of public. Meanwhile, when this was going on, I have already, you know, left the primary care. I've gone back to my, you know, to my secondary care where I work as an A&E doctor.
Yeah.
But they called me and they put a restriction for 15 months. I was shocked. I went to the tribunal. It's not, trust me.
So hold on before you go. So they put this restriction on you. You're still not very clear why.
What is going on? All they said,
Yeah.
well, what I understand where they were now saying was that the scheme I did, I wasn't meant to do it.
Yeah, we've said that. Yeah.
That's what I understand they are going, that because I've done that I have breached a law.
Yeah, but they sanctioned you to do that course, because you can't do it unless you've got the signed sanction from all these other authorities.
Exactly.
So they made a mistake.
Yes.
Albeit based on your own mistake.
Yes.
But they're the ones who said you could go on it.
Yes.
Now they're saying that actually you're not qualified, you're not eligible,
Yeah.
and that we think you've purposely lied on your
my way.
application
Yeah.
form,
Yeah.
and that further you were being paid
Yeah.
when you were doing your practitioner placement,
Yeah.
and therefore the fraud was related to being paid while you were there under what they may consider false pretenses.
There were 2 charges. The first charge was protection of public,
Yeah.
and they put a restriction on me. That's before they even commenced the investigation.
So they stopped you,
Working in primary care.
period.
Yeah, said you can go back to secondary care, but they put it on the public domain. Everybody saw this, and that's when the ordeal started.
Wow.
You know, because everybody will be like, what have you done? What is going on? So
What was
we
the
are
impact upon you and your family?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, the same family I was trying to protect from Nigeria. You know, this case has destroyed my family.
Wow.
My wife have left with my kids. You know, I'm no longer a very good model for my kids. All my children wanted to become doctors, but as I'm talking to you right now, they no longer want to do it. You know, they can't. This is 4.5 years and it's still ongoing. They can't stand the amount of stress this has cost me. You know, and one happy, lovely father, and all of a sudden, I can't sleep. They've seen me so distressed. You know, speaking. You can imagine letters coming in, medical counselors sending letters to you. The trauma reading those, I can't even read some of them. You know, it was so bad. And they said, no, I know it has caused a very nasty damage to my family. You know, my kids, I've heard it many times, you know, they're preaching to all the minorities. Say, look, don't go and do it, or don't go and become a doctor, you know, because that's a big boy that's going to get kind of mess your job up, you know. So you know, there's this culture of fear, and that is one of the reasons that, you know, that led to why I'm here. You know, it's too bad. You know, why are we sending these negative, you know, images that, you know, to the society? You know, on my own personal self, I've been stressed. You know, the worst place you can be is to be at that tribunal, because it's a bit confusing. You are seeing the medical counsel that are meant to be protecting you, fighting to destroy you, fighting to suspend, trying to erase you. You can see them being fierce, you know, trying to, and you're here paying them, and they're doing this thing to you, and you're thinking, what is my life worth? You know, on my experience personally, the only way I can describe how it feels is like somebody being on a death row. I'm sorry to say that, because this is a life-changing event.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not like I'm owing somebody a fine or to pay. You know, this is something that can change your life, and that is why it is out there. The huge number of doctors that have died, up to 28 doctors, I read it the other day, died within 3 years of doing this, and mine is 4.5 years, and I'm still there. But I'm this kind of person that always like to take positives, no matter how bad things are.
Right.
I know my friends left me, but there are still few friends that are behind me, phoning me, calling me, supporting me. You know, I'm grateful for the counseling services in the form of CBT, you know, helping me to understand my and giving me hope. You know, and also this kind of brought a new part of me I never knew existed. That is working in non-governmental organizations, because I traveled to Nigeria, met a lot of, you know, poor children, and I've been there lecturing them, giving them a lot of, you know, information on how to become a better version of theirs, and most of them are looking up to me, you know, to become what I am, and that kind of gave me a bit of a hope that at least I'm worth something, you know. People still believe in me. I'm not that bad.
You're not that guy.
Yeah, I'm not that. You know, people believe in me.
Yeah,
I have a lot of people, you know, I'm helping through a lot of things, schools, universities, and all what not, guiding them. You know, they don't know what's going on with me. I don't want to tell them, not to discourage them, but you know, these are the things that have given me a reason to live.
Absolutely. And I think that what we do know is that when you're subject to this kind of injustice, that the implications go way beyond just the professional sector and your professional standing, personal standing, economic standing, standing with your children and your wife. And it's so sad to hear the price that you've had to pay just really to maintain the integrity of your name and lift this shadow above you. Now, although they tried to institute these procedures, you won.
Yeah.
You actually won your case.
Yeah, twice. The first time was protection of public, and the police put restriction on me for 15 months.
So on the issue of restricting your ability to work with the public,
the reason was protection of public.
right?
Now, they placed me on restriction for 15 months. When they came for 6 months review in December 2018, 4th of December 2018, I can remember precisely, we applied. When it was obvious I did nothing that was not protection of public, we applied for them to remove it, and the GMC was still insisting that it needs to be there. But they came out after the decision and said, no, we need to take. They ordered the GMC to take the restriction they put on the website on my name.
So you must have been pleased about that.
Yes, I was so happy.
Right.
And
hopefully you're seeing some justice.
Yes, and I think that was where things were getting better. But I didn't know that I'm just starting.
It was a calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened next.
A month after, I got this huge, big bundle of bundle in my house, telling me that they're taking me to the medical tribunal on another charge, misconduct. The first one was protection of public. They told me now it's none of misconduct.
Right.
That's what I understand. So, and they based it on an application form that I feel that I made a tick
In the box.
in the box, and I made an error.
So they have now they are now, having lost the substantive case around your restriction to practice, they're now focusing in on this form
Yes.
and saying this one error, which
Yes.
is clearly an error,
Error.
because you can see, and this is the point I need to explain. In this form, everything else is filled in correctly. Even questions related to his GP status is filled in correctly. There's one error around a particular box, and his whole career hangs in the balance on whether or not he can prove whether he deliberately lied, which is absolutely an outrageous suggestion given the paperwork and the evidence, and you see the man for yourself, or whether it was just a simple error. And your whole career hangs in the balance
Yes.
on this question.
I think they brought about 9 charges on this, and they brought a charge that I lied, I claimed money irregularly. There's a lot of huge amount of charge they brought against me based on this one error.
Yeah.
But like you said, you don't need to be a magician to see what is an error.
Absolutely.
The form asked me, are you on GMC register?
Yeah.
GMC GP register,
Yeah.
and I think others.
Yeah.
So I made a mistake. Instead of taking GMC register, I
Mistake.
took the GMC GP register.
Absolutely.
Okay. But look at the next question. When did you get your CCT or something? Which do you need for you to be there? You need to have that certificate.
Yeah.
I left it blank. I didn't get anything. And they asked me, have you worked as a GP in this country? I said, no. But have you done elsewhere? I said, yeah, we're in Nigeria. That's what I told them. And at the end of that form, they asked me, I need you to supply your status in the as it is in the GMC website, which clearly stated that I'm not there. My CV, which clearly said that I'm not in the GP register, and all this information. Secondly, there were 2 forms I was filling, similar forms. The other one was for performance list. The same question was asked there, and I think I was on GMC register, not the GP one.
Right.
So if I was being deliberate,
You would have lied twice.
I would have lied twice. And
Yeah.
this was just an error. And I didn't even know I did it. It was when the investigation that my legal team come and say, oh, somebody mentioned that he ticked, then just found out that you ticked an error. And everything was centered on this. Like I said, I will never wish anyone, even my enemy, to attend that hearing. That hearing is very, very horrible.
You've got another hearing coming up, haven't you?
Yes,
In late September
yes,
in Manchester.
yes.
And you're looking for people to... The date's not yet determined, I believe.
Hopefully, we're thinking about 29th of September.
So
But you need to understand how this happened. I spent 7 days and they couldn't reach a decision. Despite the fact my legal team telling them to stop this case, there is no case to answer. They continued and they started again in January 2020 for 8 days. And after they came back and said nothing was found. No misconduct, case closed.
Right.
And I was so happy.
So now you've had the restriction to practice lifted.
Lifted.
You had the misconduct thing.
Cleared.
No case to file.
Cleared, nothing to find.
Right.
And I know the GMC fought it and they said that this must proceed.
Yeah.
But after everything, they came back and said, look, this is an error. There's no way. Because they found email where I was asking my supervisor, the lead and everyone, whether this scheme they are accusing me of can help me to get into the GP register.
Right.
So how can I be lying? How can I be lying and I'm still asking how this is good?
It doesn't make
It
any
doesn't
sense.
make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And when you read the papers, you will see that it doesn't make sense.
Then-
So now we've got 2 charges that he's beaten on the rap from the GMC. Yeah. So
What happened next?
what happened next?
4 weeks later, this was just before the start of COVID, I got another huge bundle that I was being taken to High Court. And I was, what's going on? They said that they didn't believe, that they're appealing all that 15 days of hearing on the MPTS. And that was another battle. We went to High Court. The High Court finally happened after COVID, which is last year, sometime in April last year. I've never been to a High Court in my life, and I kept wondering when I went there, what am I doing here?
Oh, really?
It doesn't even make sense. I could barely breathe. It was so horrific for me.
I can imagine.
And I stood there, all these things were flying everywhere, and they came back. The judge set aside the whole, I said there was a flaw in whatever the procedure they used,
Yeah.
and asked to get back again and start all over again.
So the judge said, you clearly, this process is flawed. I instruct you to go away, and if you want to charge this man, you're going to have to start that process all over again.
Something like that.
So you are now due to go through this entire experience
Again, yes. And I can't imagine I'm going to be spending 3 weeks in Manchester, possibly 3 weeks in Manchester, drilling with this all over again. How my horror? I mean, that's where I started wondering: is this something else going on here? If a man is said he's not guilty every time in church, does anybody even have a power to appeal and say let's start all over again? You know.
Well, any process can be started all over again, so that's in their, that's in their purview. One would have thought they would have seen good sense, given the evidence and how many times they've lost.
Yes.
That some common sense would prevail, and they say, this guy's had a hard time. He's clearly not guilty. Let him crack on and get into work. But they seem to be relentless. Why do you think they're pursuing you?
To be honest, if you've read in papers and seen what has been going on, the cultures, going on in this country regarding, minority people with the medical council, I'm not the first one, So you find out, you start believing that, that there's a bit of this having a bit of, like, it creates a cloud of doubt whenever someone from the minority, even if everything is so clear.
You still disbelieve?
They still disbelieve until they prove everything, until it turns out to be right. Like I said, this has caused. It's not just what they are doing, but they need to understand what is causing to the minority community.
Absolutely.
And I keep reading every day on the newspaper, doctor shortage, people leaving, and and I'm here. I'm a fully qualified GP, both internationally and here in the UK. I finished my training. Everybody that's gone to this INR scheme is working as a doctor right now. And here I am, looking at level of suspension. Because the last time I was dabbling something on the internet, I saw the meeting that was held for they go to High Court. It's on the public domain. And it's a direction for suspension. And I'm just wondering, why are we wasting energy here? There are better... it looks as if my service is not even needed.
No, well, that is certainly not true. Certainly not true. Dr. Udoye, we're going to have to bring this interview to a close. I know it's emotionally traumatizing for you to speak with us, so we do thank you enormously for your commitment to come today and to speak to us. And I think to the audience out there, here we have somebody who's clearly at the top of his profession, undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, making unprecedented progress in his ambition to become a doctor and a GP. And yet, with all that he's got to contribute, a few people in the GMC with antiquated ideas and a pedantic approach to bureaucracy have inflicted what is, deeply traumatic and life-changing circumstances on a doctor for whom the country is crying out for. And it is inexplicable to me, and I'm sure it's inexplicable to you. If you want to know more about this case, and I hope today has inspired you to find out more, there'll be a link in the description below where you can go and read in much more detail some of the issues that affect. And we'll be keeping you updated there on the date for the tribunal, because here's my fervent hope. We hope that this video today will encourage people, particularly in the northwestern Manchester, as you have to travel, to come to Manchester and to give Dr. Udoye some much needed support. He has struggled valiantly alone to this point. He has triumphed under the most amazing circumstances to be able to prove his innocence. Now we need the community to get behind him and help him carry over the line. Our appeal to the GMC is, this is ridiculous. Doctors are in much need. Here is an excellent doctor. Let good sense prevail and allow the man to do what he's lived his whole life to do, and that is help other people. You've been watching Lee Jasper. Press the link in the description for more information, and I will See you soon. Dr. Udoye,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.